Welcome to People Doing Good for Others, where we praise and celebrate and hold in the light wonderful individuals who are truly making remarkable contributions in our communities. I'm Gary York, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. We want to thank Wilkes Communications and RiverStreet Productions, 100.9 WIFM for this opportunity. And we're honored today to have Jerry Smithey with us. He's the leader of the Brushy Mountain Apple Festival, which will be coming up on October the 7th. He's also a 40-year member of the Brushy Mountain Ruritan Club and a great advocate and a person who believes in giving in a special way, and we're grateful that he's here. And so good morning to you, my friend, Jerry Smithey.
Pleasure to be here.
We're going to talk about Apple Festival. We're going to talk about Ruritan Club. Yes. I think it'd be a good way to start. What does a Ruritan Club do, Jerry Smithey?
Well, Ruritan Club is a community service group, a civic group that's located right in the community where you live. And the focus mainly is on the community. I think in Wilkes County we have 5, and each county in the Piedmont district could have 2 or 3 or 4, maybe more. But the concentration is right in your community. And the purpose of the Ruritan Club is the fellowship, goodwill, and community service. We believe in doing fundraisers in order to promote the different activities in the community. We also like to have a situation where if a need comes up, we can help the individuals as well.
Like a contingency fund. If an emergency happens, you could answer the call maybe.
If there's a burnout,
yeah.
Or if someone's sick and they need money to have transportation back and forth to, say, Baptist Hospital or any kind of situation like that, just anything that we can help. We have in our community, we have, I think, 30 lifelines that we give to the elderly people. If they should fall or something and they need help, all we have to do is push that button and it's taken care of. There's somebody there to help them. So those type things, and it's the goodwill part is any way that we can help, and the fellowship part is just getting together, enjoying each other's company and the atmosphere. So that's basically what it's all about.
And when you meet, you eat, right? You have a nice, wonderful meal. I've been in your club.
Yeah, we're about like the Baptists that way. We like to meet and eat. So we always have a meal at a regular meeting. Of course, we have other meetings that's board of directors and all that where we don't. But anytime we have a district meeting or a zone meeting or anything like that, we always have a meal with it. So we enjoy fellowship and enjoying each other.
Jerry Smith, you've been there 40 years. Tell us about the club was just at its root, just getting started, and possibly name some of the individuals and this idea of about making money with apples.
With a civic club, you have to have funds to be able to do a lot of things you want to do, and same thing with Brushy Mountain Ruritan Club. When it first formed, I was just moving back here from Asheville. I was in the business up there, but and Lonnie Webster, I happened to see him, and he introduced himself, and he said, "We're just starting a Ruritan Club, and would you like to be in it?" And I thought, well, it might be something I could contribute to. So I came to a meeting, and they were just getting the charter together. And of course, I'd just taken a new job at that time also, so I was out of town quite a bit. But anyway, I think they had already talked about a fundraiser, and I think Lonnie had mentioned that in his hometown, where he came from in Kentucky, they'd had some type of apple festival. And of course, Steve Forrest, another one of the members, Max Hendren, Kenneth Taylor, Junior Costner, several of those guys, since the brush is known for their apples, that was a good idea. And of course, Steve being a good promoter, and a lot of other guys kind of jumped on board and saying that may be something we could maybe do and have a good fundraiser out of that. So anyway, we at that time I was just coming in, so my first meeting, I think we taking up collection to make some flyers, to
So you had no
to
money.
promote it.
So you had to chip in a little
Yeah,
bit each other.
we just took up collection and
Wow.
got the money that we needed to create a flyer, maybe a radio spot, and later on we learned that you could put out press releases and those type things
Yeah,
that would
yeah.
get the word out, and billboards, and those we've used different methods, but that was the way it kind of all got started.
Did you start with the committees of that first year? You went over to Mr. J.C. Fall, an honorable man, gave us a place to have the first one.
Right, yeah, we didn't really have a place, we felt, somebody mentioned having it on the brushes. Of course, there's no place up there. We felt, that was large enough to handle very much of a crowd. So we talked to Mr. Fall, and of course, he agreed to let us use that, which at that time was a vacant lot where the old Walmart
Wow.
was on 421 West. So he let us use that, and not thinking that it would be that big. We got a good show together, a good arts and crafts show. Several, as you know, in this area, we got a lot of good arts
Sure.
and crafts vendors. We also got together some food vendors and some exhibits, the old hit and miss engines, some molasses mill, and those type things that some people, a lot of the young people don't know what they are.
Sure.
So we got some things like that together, and our first Grand Marshals was Roy and Bertha Lowe, and Roy's a tremendous storyteller. And so anytime Roy was, you seen him around talking, everybody just kind of gathered around him anyway to hear what he was saying. But anyway, he and Bertha, and we had a storytelling corner where Roy told stories about, the old days and moonshine or whatever, But
Wow.
anyway, he was very entertaining. So that worked out well. Then the next year, the highway patrol and the traffic control people, we had such a crowd, they said, 15,000, I think,
right.
in the paper that we had. And
That was quite overwhelming, wasn't it,
it
Jerry?
clogged up 421 pretty bad,
Yes.
and that wasn't a good thing.
Not
So
good.
anyway, the next move was to get a larger place, and that's when we went to downtown North Wilkesboro and talked to them about having it in downtown there. So that was kind of how it all came about.
So, Jerry Smithey, tell us now about the benefit, if you will. We have the nonprofits and just kind of the exhibits and the music, and the venue is a good word for
Yeah.
all the things that you do.
Yeah, I think you mentioned first I was kind of the ramrod. I'm just one of them. We have a tremendous, a lot of diverse talent, in the club, but we have different ones that handles different parts of it, and like the arts and crafts is handled by Ray Stone. He does a tremendous job with the organization of all of that, and I handle, my main responsibility are the concessions and the food, and then of course the t-shirts and hats and those type things. And then we have the exhibits, those hit and miss engines and molasses mill, whatever exhibits we can have come in. That's handled by Wade McInnes and Debbie Davis. They handle that. And then we have the music, that's a big part of it too. We have 3 stages, and we have dance areas where the local kids from different schools can come in and show their talents at dancing. And then that's handled by Gretchen Borelski. And we have, like each area in town has a block chairman, somebody that day we set up that they're in charge of taking care of that
Sure.
area, making sure that the people get where they're supposed to be, and we mark off all the streets and put a number on a piece of duct tape so they know where to set up.
Sure.
Match their number with their application. So it's a large endeavor, and of course we're not a real large club. We're probably vary between 35 and 40 members.
Okay.
But each person in the club I know has to take responsibility for certain things. I know Ann Garwood, for instance, she handles all the advertising, gets in touch with all the TV station, WXI, and of course your
I was
station.
watching you this morning.
You have that?
I get up about 4 o'clock and
Yeah.
it was on.
We must have been at the same time because I see.
Oh yeah, great ad.
Yeah, good. Yeah,
Compliment someone. It was wonderful.
yeah.
It is
so,
wonderful.
and of course they help us put that together also. But Ann's in charge of that, and then her husband Terry and Gary Hayes handles utilities and safety and those type things, and help the health department inspect the foods. Make sure that or the vendors make sure that all of that's safe. And it's just effort of everyone in the club taking responsibility and making sure that they do what they're supposed to do. And, our president this year is Nancy Putzel, and normally the president of the club is the chairman of the festival. And of course they have to kind of follow up, make sure that each person.
Well, how about apples? You talk about the Apple Festival now. Does all the folks from Brushy come down and sell apples, or how does that work?
That was another thing. One of our things that we do in the Ruderton Club, we try to promote local businesses. And of course, that Apple Festival falls into the business and professional part of it. And the Brushes being, at that, when we started, I guess there was probably 10, 15 more growers right there on the Brushes.
Yeah.
And then plus the ones over in Alexander County, where the Brushes kind of filter over that way. But now, we don't have that many growers up there. They've dwindled down. There's still several acres of apples. But that was one thing we wanted to do too, is promote the Brushy Mountain apples. And at that time, when we started, there was a co-op. There's Brushy Mountain Co-op, and so each grower on the Brushes has all the exits that we have leaving the festival. We have an apple grower, set up there selling apples.
Right.
So we have several growers. I know the Parker Orchards, Great Fall, and Armored TV Paul. They're I guess two of the largest growers on the Brushes now. They're all set up selling. Then we even have some of the guys that has maybe smaller orchards.
Perry Lowe?
Yeah, Perry Lowe's there. They're at the end of Main Street.
Okay.
We have Lindsay Deal, over in Alexander. We have Ryan Lowe and Bobby Lowe at Sugar Loaf Orchards. They're there. So about all the growers, they have a good day at their apple house, but they also, have a good day, selling apples.
Yes.
There at the festival. So we try to make sure that we emphasize, all of our local people.
Entertainment. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, our entertainment, we try to have, like I said, a variety of the heritage type Americana music, the country and bluegrass, and I think most of the country music, so I mentioned Gretchen Borowski handles the music, but I think Eric Ellis he's a stage manager, for all that. And then we have just a bluegrass stage, and then you may know Ken Bird.
Yes.
He handles the gospel, and he's very good at that, and he's been doing that for probably 35 years or so, a long, long time. But each one is responsible for getting all that set up and picking the talent and making sure that it's good quality groups. And so the dancing is also a key part. I think it gives the cloggers and the square dancers and all a chance to show off their skills. So it's a lot of good variety of entertainment.
Jerry Smithey, how many vendors and music, all that together, how many representations will there be?
Well, now on the arts and crafts vendors, we're talking about over 300, of those. And then on their concessions, we have probably
300 exhibitors.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, and some of them have more spaces than that, but some of them has a couple of spaces. They'll buy two
Right.
spots if they got a large exhibit. And the food vendors, which I take care of, there's probably, counting the commercial people, and we have to have so many of those because it's hard for the civic groups and churches and a lot of the local people to handle that many people. You just about have to have these commercial people that can really turn out the food. But we have about 75 of those, and there's more restrictions, I guess, on the commercial people. They really have to be inspected, and all of them has to do all the safety qualifications, the fire extinguishers, and everything like that. But then we allow some commercial people in, that because they pay a higher fee. The civic groups they pay a minimum of $150, 10% of what they gross. And the commercial people pays like $350, and they pay 15% of what their gross is. So it's kind of leaned in favor.
It's by design the way things work and how it all works together is the way it sounds to me.
We try to be fair, and like I think we'd mentioned, we try to place the vendors where they're not head-to-head competition. If we've got a funnel cake vendor on this side of town, we want the other one to be on the other side, so they're not head-to-head competition.
Jerry Smith is my guest today, and this is such an interesting celebration, I call it, about the Brushy Mountain Ruetan Club and the Apple Festival. Frame for us, how big is it? You said the whole downtown is virtually a part of it. Just give us some idea of how many city blocks.
It's the whole downtown area, all the streets and the parking lots inside the central business loop. Mm-hmm. All those are used, and of course with as many spaces and booths that we sell, it takes that whole area. And we feel like that the town does a tremendous job, as far as the traffic control.
Yeah.
And of course, the cleanup afterwards, and that's another big part. We pay, for extra for those services, but it's something that after the festival, the town will come in with the big sweepers and spraying the water, and by 8 o'clock on Saturday night, you won't know that it ever happened. So it's good.
Isn't that amazing?
It is. It's amazing how that can they can have everything cleaned up, and the police department, Chief Rankin, he does a tremendous job. With getting the people all his officers where they're needed. At all the exits and entrance, and if we have a particular problem, which we don't allow any alcoholic beverages, and so that it's just a family event.
Sure.
We don't
family friendly.
Right. So we try to keep it, and we've always kept it that way. So it's a whole lot easier for everybody involved with that situation.
Jerry, there's an estimate about how many folks will come in and out that day. Talk about the size of the crowd.
Yeah, we've always had a problem, counting and trying to figure out how many people. And of course, we figure there's most of the time about 3 or 4 turnover. You have a certain group that comes in. We have a lot of the locals that comes in when there are people setting up at 7 o'clock or 6. They come in and by 8 or 9 or
When do you
10
start?
o'clock.
9 o'clock?
Oh, no, it opens at 8.
8?
The streets we have our grand opening at 9 o'clock. That's at the corner of Main and 10th Street.
Kind of what goes on there, Jerry? It's a new one for
There,
me.
well, there we have the local, the town official, the mayor and the town managers and the mayor from Wilkesboro and any of the county people that would like to come, the county commissioners or whatever.
Sure.
But we have them come in and make a speech and more or less welcome everyone. And then that's the time that we get to introduce our grand marshals.
Yeah. Talk about that concept again now. What was that, somebody decided we're going to do it, and a little bit more about that. I'm really impressed with that grand marshal part of it.
Yeah, now that each year we select. We have a nominating committee that checks. Each person in the club can submit a name, someone they think that is worthy, and we in the past we've always tried to have the grand marshal connected with the apple growing business, because get them involved and honor them. And our grand marshals is not particularly a celebrity; it's someone in our community that's done a whole lot above and beyond. And so we've always tried to honor them, because otherwise they may not ever get much attention at all. But over the years we've gone through the community, and not all the way always in the community. We could go out, someone that's made a contribution to the brushes, that we feel that should be honored. But over the years we've had different ones, and sometimes they can even come out of our club, because a lot of people that do a lot of good in the community are in our club, and we don't like to show a lot of nepotism, but still we want to honor those people, especially whenever they start getting a little older or whatever, but we want that opportunity. And this year our grand marshal is Debbie Davis, and she's made a tremendous contribution to the Rueton Club, our local club, and she's been district zone governor and district governor.
And she's a member of your club?
Yeah, she's a member of our club, and she does a whole lot through her church there at Bethany, and she also does a lot with the fire department, the ladies auxiliary, and just involved in everything. And I mentioned a lot of our grand marshals are older, but she's not older. I don't want to say that, but she's the one that will be honored this year. And at the opening ceremonies, that's another main thing we do, is introduce our grand marshal. And the grand marshal is always located in Wilkes Towers, and we have a friendship quilt, and it's set up on a rack where it's spread out, where you can come in and sign the quilt and best wishes. And we have a group of ladies that works with the grand marshal that will be there and help aid, and direct people, and they sign the register and sign the quilt. But they're in that lobby there all day. So that's a special honor, and their families come in.
Wow, grand marshal. Let's go back to, you said, I asked you to tell us, did you say how many? Tell us that again. How many people we think?
Oh, well, we estimate each year, I guess between 100 and 125,000, and I started with that a while ago. We estimate by having maybe how many people. We used to have a plane to fly over, and take pictures, and we'd try to estimate by, say, from say 8 o'clock till 11, from 11 to 2, and 2 to 4, whatever, and try to figure, because we figure the crowd's turning over so many times a day. So we don't say there's that many there at one time, but we just say that during the course of the day, that's how many people we feel like that are there. But it's, like I said, without a gate, it's hard to know for sure, but that's the estimates, and that's what we kind of advertise with our vendors.
All right, let's go to the outreach, the Brushy Mountain Ruetan outreach, and it's the wonderful contributions it makes in the community. So you let us an idea about the money, the dollars that'll be available in your club for the year, and let's spend the rest of our time together telling us about the good things we do with the money we make.
Yeah, and that's the main reason for all of it, is to have some money to give away to different organizations. And of course, a big thing is the scholarships. We give out probably say about $8,000 this year, and these scholarships are renewable. As long as they stay in school and they keep their grades up and give us a manuscript to keep up with, and we keep funding them, during the course of their education. We give a lot to a lot of the other organizations in the county. We try to help ADAP and child abuse, and help with this drug situation, the opioids. Try to contribute to the Project Lazarus and places where we feel like there's a need in the county. And then we try to also, we've got a swimming pool in the community that we have there. Yeah. We've had for about 35 years. And that's just kind of something that we have for our kids in the community so they can learn to swim. And so that's something we do in the community, and we have a park there, ball field. And just whatever the needs comes up, and we've always tried to meet those needs. Yeah.
Jerry Smithey, a leader with the Brushy Mountain Ruetan Club, a 40-year veteran there, and we're getting ready to this Saturday, and rain or shine, we're going to be there. So Jerry, I want to thank RiverStreet Productions and Wilkes Communications and WIFM for this opportunity, and you're such an honorable guest, and how you tell these stories just clears a bell. I mean, you just really communicate in a very special way, and I'd like for you to end, and I'm honored that you're here, and you were our first guest when we started about 140 folks back, and you were here for the first session, and you talked about the values of the Brushies and the people who live there and the contributions that people make. Just end with the essence of the Brushies as you've shared that with me before.
Yeah, a little bit of clarification. The festival will be October the 7th, so that's want to make sure that.
Yeah, sure.
That's
and it
always
starts
first Saturday.
From 8 o'clock until when?
8 till 5.
Okay.
And it like I said, it's October the 7th, always first Saturday in October. But getting back to your question, I feel that, being a part of the Brushies and the Ruetan Club and the people that I've worked with over the years, I feel that it's helped me, and I hope, that it's helped the community. But I've got a lot of rewards. Every reward is not financial. It's just a piece knowing that maybe, you've helped someone that will make a difference.
Yeah. So the fellowships and the friendships and how we, everything you talk about is community. And when people are pulling together, great things happen. And we just can't wait to, the essence of Ruetan Clubs, the Brushy Mountain Ruetan Club and the Brushy Mountain Apple Festival. And Jerry Smithey, you're a tremendous advocate for doing good for others. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate it.
Thank you.